Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryaṃ Karavāvahai Tejasvina Adhitamastu Ma Vidvishāvahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So yesterday we saw a Dhāraṇā where we have to watch the space in the armpits. Okay, kaksha, ākāsa, kaksha, vyomni. There I experimented with different techniques. One is to hold your hands up. Okay. The other is to hold your hands above your head in the namaskara position. The third one, I finally concluded with a portion like you hold your hands in front of your tummy or navel. Okay. So this is a comfortable position, but what the thing is after some time you feel little heavy and all that. So most simple of all that is to keep your hands on your upper thighs, the high thighs, okay, close to the joints, and leave it like that. Whichever is comfortable. For me, to place my palms on the high thighs, the joints, is very comfortable. So if you leave that, naturally there is a space on the armpit. You can meditate on that. Okay. Now next is āsane śayane sthitvā nirādhāraṃ vibhāvayan svadehaṃ manasi kṣīṇe kṣaṇāt bhavet kṣīṇāśayo bhavet āsane śayane sthitvā nirādhāraṃ vibhāvayan svadehaṃ manasi kṣīṇe kṣaṇāt bhavet. There is a Paṭha here. Instead of vibhāvayan, and instead of svadehe, and instead of kṣaṇāt there is a kṣaṇāśayo, there is a reading called bhūtāśaya. We will understand that later. Before I explain the meaning of this shloka, I want you to understand one thing. When I was reading Tantra Loka, in Tantra Loka I found many things which are close to the practice of Raman Maharshi. One of them is the samadhi he gave to his disciple, his servant Kandasamy, and his mother. Okay, that is a samadhi where he places one hand on the chest and the other hand on the forehead. He later tells in the Kandasamy's case, he took the hand a little earlier, and Kandasamy opened his eyes and he left his body through the eyes instead of gaining samadhi. So he didn't make the mistake. He said, I didn't make the same mistake when I was doing the same thing for my mother. Thing is, this is not a Vedanta prakriya. Nowhere in Vedanta this kind of samadhi is a initiation into samadhi is explained. But this kind of initiation is said in Tantra Loka. Okay. Moreover, this particular sadhana, why do I bring in Ramana Maharshi here? This particular sadhana is very much Ramana Maharshi. How is it? Who am I? Nanyar? No, it is not who am I. The first time I'll explain the story. Before the understanding the shloka, we'll understand it. Because understanding Dhāraṇā, we'll understand the story of Raman Maharshi. Raman Maharshi had a fear. One day when he was alone in Madurai house, he had a fear. I will die. What happens if you die? He could not get rid of that fear because there was no one there close to him. There was no one there in the house. Everyone has gone out. So he was alone, all alone in the house. He was fit. He didn't have any disease also. Like nowadays, when we have pain in hand or neck or in the chest, we immediately, oh, is it heart attack? We start feeling all these stupid ideas. That is not also the case. He is 14 or something he was then. Now he himself explains that. So what did he do? He decided to face it head on. Okay. So what is death? Okay. He lied down. After lying down, he said, okay, my breath stops. He stopped the breath and the rigor mortis sets in. Okay. The body becomes tight. And the relatives and friends, they understand I am dead. So they come and they all cry. And after performing all the rites, they take the body to the crematorium. In Brahmin household, a boy who is initiated in the sacred thread will be burnt. If he is not initiated in the sacred thread, he will be buried. Okay. For the girls, it is a after puberty and before puberty. That is the idea. Okay. Anyway, so he is taken. Since he is already initiated into the sacred thread, he is taken to the crematorium. He says, the body is taken to the crematorium. They set all the wood and all that. They burn the body. Is that all for me? Am I also, by the body becoming ash, am I also dead? That is when he understands the body is completely destroyed, but I am not destroyed. The self remains. Whatever happens to the body, that does not have anything to do with the self. That he understands for the first time. Okay. Similarly, for the first time means that is the only time you need to understand. That's the only thing you need to understand. The same experience is said here. Okay. And this is a Shakta Upaya. This is not a Ana Upaya. You cannot, okay, let us close our eyes and no, this is not Ana Upaya. But if you have the focus, then this becomes an Ana Upaya also. Because he didn't have any prayer practices. He just went directly into the sadhana. So this can be Ana Upaya for a person who has great focus. Because we accept without any prayer practice, no one can do anything really perfectly. So prayer practice means I have not done anything. Raman Maharshi has not done anything in this life. Maybe not in this life, but in previous life he has done. So that carries weight. So here, āsane, śayane, sthitvā. For this sadhana, for these previous sadhanas also, we have been telling we don't need to sit cross-legged in a seat. You can just sit comfortably in a chair or anything. That's also okay. But here he goes to a step higher, saying you can even lie down. Normally we don't prescribe lying down as an asana for shavasana, as an asana for practices, any spiritual practice, because it is not just associated with shava, death. That's not the case here. Shavasana is a position where you lie down and relax. Immediately, instead of focusing, you go to sleep. You have programmed your mind in such a way that once you lie down, you go to sleep. Okay, so we don't prescribe this asana, but here in this case, we prescribe that asana. Whichever asana, shavasana or any asana you stay there, leave the body without anything to hold on to. Okay, stay without anything, without holding on to the body. When the body is the association, identification with the body is completely destroyed, then you gain that absolute. That is what the idea is. Okay, āsane, śayane, sthitvā, staying put in water, in a seat comfortably, or śayane, lying down. Nirādhāraṃ vibhāvayan. You have to focus. Vibhāvayan means you have to focus, you have to think that there is no identification. Nirādhāraṃ means, ādhāra means refuge, identification. You should understand that you should have to get rid of all the identifications, like I, mine. Okay, so the biggest identification is the body sense organ complex. So I am not the body is not me. Neither am I am the body, nor the body is me. This kind of a dismissing the association, identification with the body is important. Even in Vedanta, I keep repeating. In Vedanta, the process of inquiry is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. All these sheets, they call it kosha. So you have to dismiss the identification with each of these koshas. I tell in Vedanta also, when you get rid of the identification with the body, that itself gets just removed. That itself removes the pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, because all of them are in the body. So the moment you give up the association, attachment, identification with the body, sense organ complex, that itself is a more than half the victory. So here also, when you give up the identification with the body, then the identification world is also lost. In the deep sleep state, you don't have identification with the body, you don't see the world. In the death, you don't have the identification with the body, you don't see the world. The moment the identification with the body is dropped, then kṣīṇe, manasi kṣīṇe, when that identification is lost in the mind, then tatkṣaṇāt, in that very moment, kṣīṇāśayo bhavet. kṣīṇāśayo means, āśaya means group. kṣīṇāśayo, the groups get dissolved. Group means the thought imprints, vasana. Āśaya here is vasana. You become devoid of any thought imprints. You get rid of all the karmas. Okay, that is kṣīṇāśayo. If you say bhūtāśaya means, bhuta is the word used for siddha. Bhutartha vishayatvat, siddhartha vishayatvat. That is what Bhagavan Bhashyakara says in Bhashya. So bhuta means siddha. Siddha ashaya means you will become established in that self. That is the idea. In that bhairava state. That is the idea. Okay. As I told you already, this is a shakta upaya. We can't practice it. Once we get a perfection focus, then we can maybe practice it. Because to give up the identification with the body is too much to ask for a person who is a beginner. Next. calāsane sthitasyātha śanairvā dehacālanāt praśānte mānase bhāve devi divyaughamāpnuyāt. calāsane sthitasyaatha śanairvā dehacālanāt praśānte mānase bhāve he devi divyaughamāpnuyāt. O goddess, O Devi, understand this. When you are seated in a moving seat, or while seated, you move your body, rock your body, at that point of time, then when the mind gains peace, when mind is at peace, you gain that absolute. You gain that bhairava. Okay. calāsane sthitasya. calāsane sthitasya. When the seat is moving, see, how can the seat move? No, only when you fall from the chair, the seat will move. No, that is not what we are saying. When the chair itself is moving, how? When you are sitting in a chair which is moving, like in a train. When you are sitting in a train or a car or an auto or a bus or anything that moves. Okay? When you are moving and the body is moving, you should have to feel that rocking also. The body should also be should rock front, back and forth, or in the sideways, whichever, does not really matter there. So when the body is moving like that, or this can also be practiced even, no, where do I go? I am not traveling, I'm sitting here. So give me a practice for that. Okay, athava shanaihi dehacālanāt, or slowly moving the body, slowly rocking the body. Now here also, there is one thing. In South India, in temples, they have this drum, handheld drum. It produces a peculiar sound. Okay, so some people go to a trance-like state hearing that sound. That is because after hearing that, they'll start immediately moving their body. They'll have a bunch of neem leaves or something, even if without that, then they'll start speaking in that trance. Whatever. The point is, when you keep your body moving like that, what happens is the mind stays still. How does the mind stay still? Okay, let me put it. If you have not seen that kind of experience in the temples, or in this kind of experience in the car, I'll put an experience which is easy for you. We have this moment when we were kids. We probably circled, like when you do pradakshina, we call it in Sanskrit, staying in one place and rotating. You do that dervish kind of a dance. Okay, you just rotate for 2-3 times and then stand still. You will feel the whole world rotating. You can experience that, right? Your head, sometimes you will fall down also. Now when you do that, it is not just your body rotating, you see the whole world rotating. You are the center, the axis, the fulcrum for the whole world to rotate. Meaning, you are identifying with everything, not just the world, the space in the world. You are identifying yourself with everything, meaning your mind becomes still. So, manase praśānte. So, when the thoughts of the bhave, means when the thoughts of the mind become subsided, then hey devi, divyaughamāpnuyāt. Divyaughamāpnuyāt. Divya means divine. Augam means a group. There are two different meanings which you can understand here. Divyaugam means divine group. The divine groups of established siddhas, the established souls, the people who are established in the self. You become one with the group of the established people. Okay, that is one meaning. The other means divya auga. Auga means ether, space. Divya means divine, parama, superior, supreme. So supreme ether, supreme space is a chid akasha. Chid akasha means the knowledge space, the knowledge self, the knowledge. So which is the bhairava state. You gain the bhairava state. That is the idea. Okay. This is also a Shakta Upaya. Next, this shloka is seen, this Dhāraṇā is seen in Shivopadhyaya, not in Bhatta. In Bhatta, the text which prints the Bhatta, Bhattānanda Stika, they put it in the footnote. This is commented upon. A 2-line commentary is seen in Shivopadhyaya for this shloka. ākāsaṃ vimalaṃ paśyan kṛtvā dṛṣṭiṃ nirantarām stabdhātmā tatkṣaṇāddevi bhairavaṃ vapurāpnuyāt. Probably this is not said in Bhattānanda because a similar Dhāraṇā is already said. A similar Dhāraṇā, not the same Dhāraṇā, similar Dhāraṇā. We'll understand that. ākāsaṃ vimalaṃ paśyan kṛtvā dṛṣṭiṃ nirantarām sthātmā tatkṣaṇāt he devi bhairavaṃ vapurāpnuyāt. Perceiving the space without blinking your eyes. When you meditate on the space without blinking the eyes, without moving the thought, at that very moment you gain the embodiment of Bhairava. You become one with, identified with the Bhairava. Okay, that is the shloka. Now, I said similar because in one of the earlier Dhāraṇās, which is Āno Upaya, we saw the light in front of us. The light in pervading the space. Right? So, the sunlight or the tube light, etc. Whatever light. You should not look at the tube, but you should have to look at the light in the space. That is what was said there. Okay? So, therefore, probably this is why Bhattānanda didn't accept this Dhāraṇā. Anyway, ākāsaṃ vimalaṃ paśyan, seeing the space. Seeing the space means you don't have to look up. Normally, this has become a practice. Space means one immediately we look up. Like when even in India, when people they pray, see this is a Western idea to pray the God in the 7th heaven. Look up, but in India, we say the God is all-pervading. When the God is omnipresent, all-pervading, then you don't have to look up there. This is an idea which is imported. You just have to look anywhere. If you look up, people do that, but that is to pray to the sun god, because sun god is accepted to be pratyaksha devata, a directly perceived deity god. So we do that. But you don't look up the space in the 7th heaven. You don't see the God there because God is all pervading. You can just pray to him in front of you without looking up. Because this is all practice, imbibed. Like when you go to the temple, you immediately close the eyes and pray to God. Why do you have to close your eyes when you go to the temple in all the rush? After going through all the rush, you are standing in front of the God, the form of the God, and instead of seeing that form, you are closing your eyes. Why? Because you are not seeing the form there, you are seeing the formless inside. You want to see the formless. You know that inherently. Okay, here also that is the practice. Now, ākāsaṃ vimalaṃ paśyan, seeing the space, the dharana is in the space, the pure space, the clean space. dṛṣṭiṃ nirantarām stabdhātmā kṛtvā, and by making the eyesight, the the sight, the eyes without blinking. Stabdhātmā means without blinking. Nirantarām, completely without blinking, without moving your eyesight. When you do that, tatkṣaṇāt, that very moment, hey Devi, oh goddess, that very moment, bhairavaṃ vapurāpnuyāt, you gain the embodiment of the bhairava. You become identified with the bhairava. That is what this sadhana says. Okay, this is a shambha upaya. This is not even shakta upaya. This is shambha upaya. Okay, we'll see this. There with the light in the space, that was ana upaya, but this is shambha upaya, because you are seeing something which cannot be visualized through the eyes. Space cannot be seen through the graph to the eyes. That is why it is shambha upaya. Okay, you see this. Om purnamadah purnamidam purnāt purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva avashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti.